3.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Idiomatic Top 3.
With Nicholas, I am the gaming correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic and movie critic. And in the spirit of growing, we're going to do something a little different, by which I mean completely the same as usual. And we're going to do another top 3 and worst 3, which we do occasionally. And since this is the end of the year, the holidays are coming, we thought we'd get a little bit of a year in a review kind of thing.
Just as a preface, we're not going to be talking about like politics or economy or really serious stuff. We want to keep this lighthearted. It's stuff that we found in our personal lives, kind of either really depressing or amusing. But we're not going to go about like the super serious stuff, like the troops leaving Iraq or the revolutions and stuff like that.
Yes, that's a very good point. Of course, the troops leaving Iraq is a very good thing. It should be on a lot of people's top 3 moments, but not going to happen here. We try to link it to entertainment in most cases, or just something we can joke about.
Yeah.
And let's not waste any time. Let's start with our top worst moments of the year.
Well, my number 3, worst moment of the year.
Most worst. Yeah, we're off to a good start, people.
Is the way I talk. No, seriously. Is Transformers 3 making great money at the box office. And I still wonder why. People knew going in there it was going to be a bad movie. They walked out saying, yeah, we knew it was going to be a bad movie, and it was a bad movie. So why did people go and see it? If you keep encouraging these movies, they're just going to make more and more and more crap.
Yeah, well, we talked a little bit about it this year when we did our summer review with Chris, Frank, and the gang.
Yeah.
And yeah, we couldn't really figure out why, but I was talking to some of my other friends who are not, in the film industry or what, and I realized that no, people genuinely like the Transformer franchise. I was speaking to a friend who shall remain nameless, but she asked, like, are you seeing Transformers 3? I'm like, nah, I'm skipping that. And she goes like, why not? I'm like, because it looks really bad, and the second one was terrible. I was like, oh yeah, but the third one's better than the second one. It's like, yeah, but, sometimes, vomiting is less painful than other times. That doesn't mean I like the activity,
Yeah. I mean, there's the nostalgia factor. Maybe that's why people really want to like it, but I don't know. It's a bad movie. It's super predictable. You can't relate to anything. It's based on the humans when all you want to see is our giant robots fighting and
Megan Fox. I want to see Megan Fox too.
That too, and she wasn't even in there.
Mm-hmm.
You had Megan Fox Light as a replacement. And
not kidding around. Like the woman they picked to replace her is a stick.
So I don't get it. I mean, you can't go in there knowing it's going to be bad and then come out and complain and then be surprised that they keep coming out with horrible movies that are just like mindless explosion to keep the masses happy. It's just, give me something I can, reflect on at least in the movie.
Yeah, and you get the feeling that the masses, as we call them, but the general audience, sort of watch a trailer and decide whether or not they're going to like it there, and then they show up, and then they just sort of follow through on their decision to like it or not.
I guess, yeah.
And there's this sort of attitude with the audiences, and that's what Transformers 3 proves and capitalizes on, is that, things that challenge you in an interesting way. Like, I don't mean like freaking Tree of Life. Like, I just mean like, like Inception, a fun action movie that still challenges you in terms of its narrative, but that's not that profound.
Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah. Very good example.
And people are sort of almost afraid of that. They just go like, oh, I just want to see something stupid. I don't want to think. And I'm like, but, as if thinking was a bad thing. As if fun and thinking were mutually exclusive. Yeah.
For a lot of people it is. So, I mean,
I don't know. Like I said, Inception, a great example of a movie that you don't need to... Like, I know a lot of people, in the geek community have pulled it apart and come up with all kinds of conclusions, but the reason why there's so many conclusions coming out of it is because there's really not that much going on there. There's just a bit of a brain teaser going on and not much more.
Yeah, and the action is, I put that action against Transformers 3's action any day. The action was awesome in Inception, and in addition, you get to think a little bit, which was really, really fun.
Yeah. And people like that movie, so clearly general audiences do like things that can be fun and, have a little thought in it. But the commercials are all like, bang, boom, blow up, and everybody's going, yeah! Yes, I stopped using words a little while. Right, moving on to my number 3 pick for worst moment of the year. The 83rd Academy Awards for me was just a cluster F.
Really?
Yeah. The, you had James Franco and Anne Hathaway hosting it, two young, hip comedians?
James Franco can be really funny,
He can be funny, but he's not a professional comedian, though.
No, it's true. What I mean, he's not expected to be. They have text written for them, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but that's exactly why you would need a comedian, though. Because a comedian can, like a professional stand-up comic, for example, can take that material and just deliver it.
Yeah.
And he's an actor, so and Anne Hathaway as well, and they both delivered it as funnily as you would expect actors to do it. Okay, well, Anne Hathaway more than James Franco, but he was busy texting.
What was the deal with that? Seriously.
They wanted to do the hip young Oscars, which is very silly. Like, the Oscars, it's the 83rd annual Oscars.
Yeah.
How many people are young and hip at 83? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So they start doing all these things. It was like, well, kids do that, so we'll add it to the Oscar ceremony. So they actually did have James Franco tweet live during the ceremony, and he had to do it. Like, they requested him to do it. So you could see that he could not focus on his hosting duties at all.
That's insane. Best idea ever.
I know.
So yeah, you had Anne Hathaway pretty much alone the whole time, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, and she was overacting for 2.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, poor thing. It was so pitiful. Yeah. And also the choices of nominations. It was not a good Oscar night at all. One of the worst ones they've had in years.
That's not good.
No. And you can find the full written review or bitch fest at thedreamersedge.com with a picture of James Franco tweeting.
Awesome.
All right, your number 2 pick then.
My number 2 is people losing their marbles over Miles Morales as the Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, the Ultimate Marvel Universe is an alternate universe from the normal Marvel Universe where they get to do things a little bit edgier, a little bit more fun, a little bit less continuity-based with their heroes.
A little edgier, so all the characters are tweeting as they're fighting crime.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And they decided to kill off Peter Parker, the Spider-Man, who's still alive in the normal Marvel Universe. But in the Ultimate Universe, killed off Peter Parker, and his successor comes along, and he's Miles Morales, who's half black, half Latino, and people lost their marbles over that. They just went like, oh, they're trying to force minorities down their throats and all of that.
It's a comic book. Relax. It's a character. If you don't like Miles Morales, don't read the Ultimate Universe and read Peter Parker. He's still alive in the real universe. If you don't like the character, that's how you make your talking with your money. If nobody buys the Ultimate Universe, they're going to stop publishing it or change it.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. And truth be told, Miles Morales is a fun character. They do some good work with this new Spider-Man. And I like the idea that, after, 100 and some issues, I don't remember where Ultimate is, but, Peter Parker is no longer the rookie. And he can't be that image of Spider-Man where he's the young guy who doesn't know what he's doing. And at that point, he's sort of become the same as normal universe Spider-Man, where he's been around forever.
Yeah.
So the idea of just replacing his character with someone who can be a rookie and sort of start over that process is sort of creatively a good idea.
Yeah, makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Change is good. You don't want to stay the status quo all the time, or else, why are you buying new comic books? It's going to be the same thing over and over and over again all the time. Just buy one, and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. But it's just so symptomatic. This is why it bothers me so much. It's symptomatic of the comic book fans do this to themselves all the time. I don't mean to suggest that comic book fans are all bigots. I don't think that at all. But they react in such a strong way with no real sense of how, as a community, they appear to the rest of the world.
Indeed.
That they come off that way, When The Dark Knight got sort of dismissed for the Oscar, everybody complained about, those dirty gays and dirty Indians because Slumdog Millionaire and Milk was nominated instead, and it's sort of like, come now.
Yeah.
Like, you do things like that, there's a reason why we dunk your heads in toilets after,
Indeed. Honestly, why even see him as Black Latino? He's He's Spider-Man. That's
Yeah,
it. That's
he's
all that
Miles
matters.
Morales.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So what is your number two?
My number two is, equally sad, maybe a little bit sadder. The Occupy Wall Street movement took over the United States, and I'm fine with that. I think that sort of revolution, which is soft revolution, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's healthy, but it sort of migrated to Canada, where we had a lot of cities. Montreal is one of them. You mentioned Saguenay.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the thing. The whole movement, the whole 99% thing, is all about how the divide between the rich and the poor in the U.S. is not satisfactory to these people. And it's not a circumstance that is reflected in Canada, because
No.
our regulation for economy are, as a lot of Americans would call it, a lot more socialist oriented.
Yeah.
And so that sort of revolution in our parts makes zero to no sense.
And they didn't know what they were complaining about as well. I would have actually put that in the funny moments of the year, because you listen to them in the news and it's like, what are you asking for? Well, stuff. And they could not formulate what exactly they were doing. They just were camping out in Montreal just for the fun of it. I mean, I enjoy camping as much. No, actually, I don't. But I can understand people liking camping as much as the next person. But, have a goal at least. And then, of course, drug use rampant in there. Then homeless people decide, hey, free tents, let's go live there. So actually, that was not that depressing. It was kind of amusing in Montreal that, like, you're not going to accomplish anything because it's not the same as in the US. You're kind of wasting your time. It's kind of funny to me.
I find it's because it dilutes a movement that I understand. I'm
Yeah.
not saying whether or not I agree with the movement in the United States, but I understand where it comes from. I think it's worth doing. I think where they're coming from makes sense.
Yeah.
And you're doing it in Canada, you're just diluting it. Because suddenly it's just a bunch of hippies hanging out,
Yeah.
you know?
And as soon as the call came and, they just received one warning, no, you need to move out of the park. They're like, okay, we're moving out.
Well, that's not really what happened. What really happened is that the Montreal mayor was really clever. He went like, well, the boards on which you're sleeping and setting your tent, the wooden boards that, like, keep them off the ground,
Yeah.
they could catch fire, that could be bad, so we're just going to remove them. You can stay, but we're just going to remove that. And here's the thing about Canada. And you approach November, it's cold, and sleeping on the ground around that temperature, not fun.
No.
So after they did all that, they let them stay in the cold for a week, and then went like, we'd really appreciate it if you left. And everybody went like, yeah, I'm gonna leave. I'm cold.
Yeah.
That was very clever.
Yeah. Indeed.
Anyway, let's move on to your worst moment of the year.
My awards comes courtesy of Blizzard Entertainment, who announced this year that Diablo 3, the hot new game that was supposed to be released this year, but it's coming early January next year, they're going to use real money for auctions. So you find an item in the game, and you can either sell it for like gold currency in the game, or you can sell it for real money outside of the game. So just basically like form an eBay with all the items you find in the game. And that just killed the game for me. Because when you add real money into a game like that, just, okay, oh, there's an item there, I need to grab it because I need money for it. Not because I want it for my character because it'd be cool, but just, I need the money, I want the money. That just kills the game for me completely. It's game and a capitalism environment like that, they don't mix really. Games are to have fun. I don't want to make money off of my game, and you hear a bunch of people that are looking forward to becoming professional gamers, where they make money off of the game to live. And I'm like, come on, guys, seriously.
It's a sad market.
Yeah,
No, I agree with it. It's the thing I find, especially with role playing, is that I don't do it myself, but I theorize that part of the fun is to be able to do things that you would not do as yourself. That's why they call it role playing.
yes, indeed.
And when you install real finance in it, suddenly, your real livelihood depends on it. You're going to start making decisions the way you do for your real life because it actually affects your real life.
Yeah,
And there goes your role playing,
indeed. Now, should I have fun leveling a new character, or should I go kill those big guys that give me a lot of loot? Because I can sell the loot afterwards. It completely changes the outlook of the game, and people get snarky when they lose gold in World of Warcraft, like gold, like fake currency gold.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine when you mess up and you cause them not to get real life money in the game. They're gonna be angry at you. It's gonna completely kill the community. So yeah, that went off my Christmas list super fast as soon as I learned that.
That is unfortunate. You also wrote a full article about that news for Diablo 3.
Yeah,
You guys can check it out at thedreamersedge.com. I think it was your first non-review article for us, wasn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
So what is your number one?
Okay, now we're gonna get serious. I'm so sorry. It said we wouldn't get serious, but it sort of, it just makes me mad.
Okay.
It's related to sports, so it's tangentially related to entertainment. I'm talking of what happened with Penn State, with the football coach.
It is entertainment because I like football, so it counts.
There you go. Um, well, I think everybody knows from the news what happened there.
Basically, it was one of the assistant coach was having inappropriate relations or touching with players.
Underage.
Underage, yes. One of the students heard of that. He didn't see it, firsthand. He heard of that, and he went to tell the coach, the head coach. And the head coach did what he was supposed to, and not anymore. Not less. He basically went to tell his superiors. He didn't go to the police. He didn't do anything else. He just went to his superiors. The thing is, he learned about it one evening, and he only went to his superiors the next day. So that's kind of a point of contention here. Should he have gone earlier or not? And that created a lot of controversy. So the coach, basically, he said, all right, there's a lot of controversy around this. I understand. It's fine. So this is my last year as coach. At the end of the year, I'm stepping down. But people just pushed on it and pushed on it. And it's like, yeah, he acted completely wrong. So basically, they fired him.
Mm-hmm.
And now after that, there's a counter protest saying, well, no, he didn't do anything wrong. And the counter protest went, and it's again counter protest. Should he have kept his job, or should he have been fired, or what happened? It's a big mess.
And turned into a riot on top of that.
Yeah.
And your position on this is?
Well, the coach did what he was told to do. If there's a situation like that, you go tell your superiors, and they'll decide if they tell the authority or not. He's not meant to investigate the whole thing. He just went.
No.
He just went to tell his peers, and they decided the course of action to take. So I think what he did was okay. Maybe he could have done the evening, or but he went the day after. That's fine with me. And he understood there was controversy, so he said, all right, I'm going to step down at the end of the year. So the firing, I don't know if it was that necessary. I mean, the guy had a legacy that you're kind of tarnishing by just, okay, now you're fired. He was a good coach. That's what mattered, really.
Well, his reputation being tarnished, in fairness. That story made the news. Whether they fire him or not, the reputation is going to be tarnished.
Yeah, but as a football coach, the reputation is tarnished, and he did what he was told to do. If there's the abuse like that, tell your superiors. That's what he did. So I'm not sure the whole firing was warranted. They tell him to, tell your superiors, and after that, they fire him for doing exactly that, just because of pressure. So I understand. Now, people protesting his firing, I understand as well. The riots and the destruction, not so much. I never think there's a reason for that. But, yeah, it's a really weird, odd situation.
See, I understand what you're saying, but I actually have sort of almost the opposite point of view. Yeah. I think the fact that he only did what was necessary, and a day late at that, is symptomatic of a system that's broken. You have an underage child being, well, by virtue of him being underage raped.
Yeah.
Going like, what? Well, I followed the rules is sort of like there should be a stronger urge from educators, especially, but from anyone to protect our children, especially in this sort of situation, I feel. And so, well, certainly his saying that I'm going to resign makes sense to me. And I'm hoping that when he made that decision is that he realized that he made a bad call. Where he made a call where he decided to do the strict minimum and decided that as an educator he should have done more, and then as sort of contrition decided to resign. And I think that's respectable. I think that's fine. But and then the school board firing him, I agree with you, is sort of them trying to pass the buck onto him
Yeah.
when they're the ones who installed a system that to me is broken, because it's a system that's designed to hide that kind of abuse. Because it's like, oh wait, if something that demands immediate legal and physical intervention,
Yeah.
go tell us, don't actually call the authorities, that's a broken system to begin with.
Indeed.
And they're just passing the buck.
Yes, that's true. I didn't even see it that way. Yeah.
So they're doing it wrong. I understand where the coach is, and I think he took his firing relatively well, because I
Yeah.
think he feels guilty. I don't have any
Yeah.
real anger against that coach. They're doing it wrong, but the where I lose my mind is the people rioting over this, going like, "You shouldn't fire him." It's like, really, in this story, to you, the coach is the victim, not the child being raped.
Well, the coach is a victim. He was part of that system, in a way. I mean, if you don't follow that kind of system, if he had gone maybe to the authorities, maybe some repercussion would have gone to him as well. So, I mean, you want to lose your job, or you want to have some other stuff happen to you because you didn't follow the strict rules of the system or not. I mean, the coach is, he's not the strict victim, but he was still caught in the whole thing there.
He did the strict minimum.
Yeah.
But I think doing the strict minimum in a circumstance like that is a failure to a certain degree. If my child
Yeah.
was being abused that way, I'm not sure I'd be able to go like, well, you followed the rules. You know?
Yeah, but he didn't see the abuse himself. He didn't get told by guys like, "Hey, this guy abused me." He heard it like a third hand from a kid that had heard it from another kid. So I mean, there's not, you can't really go to the police saying, "Well, I heard this from this kid that he heard from that kid that happened." It's really kind of weird. So
Actually, you can. Just for the
Yeah.
record, you can call social
Okay.
services in those instances. If
Okay.
our audience ever find themselves in a situation, you actually can.
my apologies, but I mean, he went, to the higher ups and said, "You guys need to deal with this."
Yeah.
So I can understand your situation. If we'll never know what would happen if the kid had come to me saying, "Hey, this coach has abused me." He probably would have acted differently than a rumor from a third party there.
I see it as a transgression, but a minor one. I think all of you bring up, it's true. He was following a broken system,
Yeah.
and his failure was only not to challenge that system. And let's face it, challenging a system is much, much, much harder than
Yeah.
So it's a minor failure, but I don't think it's a moral failure. I think it's a failure of fortitude, if anything.
Yeah.
But I think that sort of riot, which is public, the point of a riot is to make a public statement to the world that this is not acceptable.
Yeah.
The world includes the actual child victim
Yeah.
and children victim, possibly. It might not be the first time it is. Or potential victims, or just the children in general. To a certain degree, that riot shows an intense failure on just the adults in general to show a climate to their children that they are going to be protected. Because what they're launching as a message is the football is more important than your security. Whether or not that's the intended message,
I
that
guess.
is what they're sending.
Is it the football or is it like the person? Because the coach, he did a lot for the school as well. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, actually, no, because they interview some of the people. There's like, to do this in the middle of a season
Oh, well,
when
that's
we're winning,
that is stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
And all of that is there are other ways to express your, like, we think he should be reinstated. You can make petitions and whatnot. But if you're doing a protest, it's like you didn't protest when the kid was being raped, but you're protesting when the guy's losing his job. And I feel bad for both, but there's one that I feel worse for.
Yeah, that's true.
And more to the point, when you're dealing with an institution that specializes in education, like Penn State School, maybe it's important to sort of communicate to your students, your children, that no, your security comes first when you come to this institution.
Good point. That's true. Even though schools in the U.S. are about making money, not really education and security, so football makes sport. You're saying the message that you're going to have a losing football team if you come to this school because we fired the coach. I'm kidding. No, it's a horrible situation. honestly, the security of the kids do come first. That's why I'm happy I'm in Canada, where schools are not money-making machines. They're actually education tools.
Oh yeah, then again, my high school, my alma mater.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
a few years ago,
yeah.
there was a scandal for sexual abuse in my school, right around my year too.
Yeah.
All right, well, now that I've bummed everybody out, let's maybe move on to some cheery stuff.
Yeah.
Our favorite moments of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, I'll let you start.
All right. My third favorite moment, the fast cancellation of Charlie's Angel. That show, the concept of the show sounded horrible from the beginning. Charlie's Angel was not even a success when it in the 70s when it came out. It just got like big reviews like later on in syndication, stuff like that people were watching it, but it was a bad show back then. And now they bring it back and they think that just the cachet of it is going to make it successful. They hired like nobodies to be the actors there.
Yeah, but they're hot.
They're hot nobodies, but still, the acting was like, oh my god.
It's some of the worst acting on a TV show ever.
I cannot read my line, but I'm hot, you know? And was it after 2 or 3 episodes? Canceled.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was a proud moment for me, too, because I called it in my review of the pilot, like, this is going to be 2-3 weeks tops.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it for the horribleness of it, just thinking, like, no, this can't last, and it gets canceled. I was laughing. It was pretty funny.
I watched a couple of episodes just because I think the brunette is super cute.
Yeah.
And the black girl also is very pretty, but they have her with an afro, which I didn't think really suited her well.
I know.
But the blonde Australian woman, oh my god, she is such a terrible actress.
And not that hot.
She's not my type. I know a lot of people who would think that she's the hottest one of the three. Not my type, but she was playing the tough girl, and that's what, like, I think if she had been a better actress, we would think that she's hot too.
Okay.
But she's so horrible that you're like, oh, get her off the screen now, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, really, really bad show.
Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking, really.
You know, really bad. And plus, I want to see hot women do kick ass. I'm going to watch Nikita, thank you very much.
I mean, there were other shows that got canceled, but those, okay, that was like, but this one, like you're fully expecting it and you're waiting for it, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, that one was almost as easy to predict as the Playboy Club in terms of cancellations. All right, my number 3 pick then for a best favorite moment of the year. Full Moon went online. Now, Full Moon is a studio that I hold near and dear in my heart. It produced some of the best B movies of my generation when I was a kid. Like, I'm talking early 90s, late 80s.
Okay.
They were responsible for the Puppet Master series, Subspecies, all of those things that I grew up with and that made me such a, dedicated horror fan and film fan, to be honest.
Okay.
And eventually, with the death of video, didn't really transition to DVD particularly well. It sort of disappeared and only survived by switching to softcore pornography.
Okay.
But now the directors, Charles Band and all the bunch, have sort of re-emerged and come out with their new catalog and started making new movies for the online market. They have a site, fullmoonhorror.com.
Cool.
Free movie of the week. Every week, a new free movie. Full-length feature, decent budget, free movie that you can check out online at their site.
Nice.
Yeah. And they dig out the old catalog sometimes, so all of these movies that I remember from my youth that are no longer available, you can find them there. You can also, from that site, then buy them on DVD if you want, but you can actually watch it online. Awesome. It's just, that's great.
That sounds really cool.
And they're pioneering a new market, too. They just want, we're going to try something new.
Yeah, and I hope it works. I hope it works out for them.
Yeah. So that was my number 3 pick. Nothing particularly funny, but there you go.
No, that's good.
All right, your number 2 pick for favorite moment?
That number 2, when I saw that, my jaw dropped. It was such an awesome moment. Watching the video clip Friday by Rebecca Black. Wow, that was spectacular. All right, and was it this year or maybe late last year that it came out? I saw it this year, so this is the moment for me this year. And it really shows you what you can do with an auto-tune. It's really a symptom of where the music industry is going right now. I was like, no, you don't need talent. Just, young artists are the craze right now. Let's just push her. Like, she can't sing or whatever. We'll use auto-tune. and all the music that's going on, right? If you average it all, I think you get Rebecca Black right there.
It went full viral this summer, if I remember correctly, or maybe a little bit earlier than that.
Yeah.
And I actually felt bad for the girl because, like you see on her YouTube page, it's like 97% negative or something like that. It's like how many millions of clicks?
I know.
It is like nothing against Rebecca Black, the girl, the person. She was given an opportunity to be a celebrity. She took it. What 13-year-old wouldn't?
Exactly.
But that song, which she did not write, I want to stress that she did not write that song, is, wow, these are some of the worst lyrics ever.
Yeah.
And the video, my favorite part is like, she goes like sitting in the front seat, sitting in the back seat, and like she's showing her left hand and right hand. And she's not sideways on the car, so it's like no, you're just showing the left seat and the right seat. It's not really working. It was like, I don't know which one I should choose. It's like, really, we're gonna sing about where you're gonna sit in the car?
And to me, the best part is when she's naming the days of the week. Like yesterday was Thursday, tomorrow will be Saturday, and Sunday comes afterwards.
Yeah, it's afterwards because the autotune has completely messed up her pronunciation too.
And yeah, it's we so excited again because the autotune kills the R. We so excited. It's classic.
It's so bad. All right, my number 2 pick for favorite moment of the year is actually somewhere around the same demographic. It's the horrified faces of teenage girls when they went to see Breaking Dawn.
Oh.
For those of you who just rejected Twilight and don't really know what's going on, is that the first 3 Twilight books are what they are. If you're into soapy romance and Harlequin stuff, it's perfectly fine, Yeah. In fact, I read an article by Rosalind Wiseman, who's an educator, specializes in bullying, explaining why Twilight sort of works. And it's because it actually captures what a teenage girl is like at that age, not how she sees herself.
Okay.
So Bella is, bat poop crazy, but that's sort of how a teenage girl feels inside at that age.
Okay.
And I can believe that,
Yeah.
So the first 3 books, pretty decent. And then the 4th book, you were telling me...
Yeah, it was not intended.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a trilogy of books. It was supposed to end when she chose the vampire over the werewolf.
Yeah, so, Edward over Jacob.
Okay, thank you. And that was supposed to be it, but it got such a success that they were asking for another one, so she did write Breaking Dawn.
Yeah, because the main villainess of the first 3 books dies at the end of the 3rd book.
Okay.
Spoiler alert! So the 4th book is like a whole new set of villains that have been sort of set up in subplots in the movies. I don't know how the books go.
Yeah.
But crazy stuff happens. Like there's this weird thing that could be easily interpreted as like hardcore pedophilia that happens. I don't want to spoil it, but
yeah,
it gets weird. There's a terrifying portrayal of pregnancy.
Yeah.
Which you go again as a consequence of sex, and since Twilight is all about the beauty of sex as restricted lust before you're married, and then as a release once you're married and you do it responsibly.
Yeah.
Well, once you do it responsibly, what might happen is that you're going to get pregnant, and then the image of pregnancy as like the most freaking horrifying thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like if you're a teenage girl into Twilight, it is absolutely horrifying. And here's the thing: I have a friend who went to see it with her niece.
Yeah.
Her niece was a huge fan of Twilight, and my friend got to see her niece, just her face light up and go like, vampires are cool,
Yeah.
And then she went to see Twilight Breaking Dawn with her and got to see her niece's face do the complete opposite, going like just pure horror on that.
Yeah, I can totally see that from what happened in the movie. Indeed.
Can't wait for Breaking Dawn Part 2.
Well, I mean, I think the gory stuff is gone now, so Breaking Dawn Part 2 is going to be dealing with the subplot with the other bad guys.
Yeah, with the Volturi's or whatever.
So that one might actually be watchable.
Yeah. True. Yeah, those movies split in 2. Like, it doesn't work when they split the final book in 2. Like, Harry Potter had the same problem, where it's like, okay, Harry Potter 7 Part 1 is children camping and being very sad. Harry Potter 7 Part 2 is the part that you actually want to see.
Interesting.
And it's Breaking Dawn's sort of the same thing, where it's like, it's just people talking while she's pregnant. Alright, the big moment. Your number 1 favorite moment of 2011?
Well, as an avid gamer, I have to choose that one. I'm obligated. Is the release of Star Wars The Old Republic. also known as SWTOR. I don't know why, because there's no O in there, but let's call it SWTOR anyway. SWTOR. It's because it's based on Knights of the Old Republic, and that one was KOTOR. It worked great. So now they're trying SWTOR, but there's no O. Doesn't work. Whatever. It is a great game. It's an MMO, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. But in traditional MMOs like that, you're basically a character and you're in the world, and the story revolves around the world. There's a guy who tells you there's this big bad in the world. You guys all have to go and kill it. SWTOR found a way to make your character special. Say, for example, you create a Jedi, and the first thing your master tells you, oh, I'm very excited to meet you, because you have the highest force power we've ever seen in a while. And your character is special, and the whole story revolves around you. You have other players, and they're also kind of told they're special on their side, but you don't know that. You're not supposed to know that. Your character is the awesome one, and the story revolves around you, not the world. That's why I'm really, really excited playing that game, because you know you're special, and you want to see more of your story. Not the story of the world, your story.
I hear a lot of buzz about that game. I mean, you actually gotten a chance to really try it out. It looks really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the game itself is just a World of Warcraft clone, honestly. The gameplay, it's World of Warcraft. But they craft the story so well. It's all about the story, not really about the gameplay. You killing mobs is just a means to your story evolving. And it is really such a different experience, and I'm having so much fun playing it.
And I think you've mentioned to me before that you sort of predict a certain migration away from World of Warcraft with all the changes they're making over there.
Yeah.
So you think SWTOR is going to be the new thing?
Unfortunately, because of the current model, people like raiding and endgame content, and it's very hard to have a story-driven raid. There are some high-level dungeons you can run, and the way you run them is very interesting, because everybody makes a choice. You can make a light side choice or a dark side choice, and then the game kind of chooses at random what choice you go for. So you can team up with evil characters, and you're stuck doing their evil bidding, because the game chooses you're doing that, so it's really weird that way. But besides that, I'm really skeptical about what they're going to do for the end game. Once your character reaches the top level, what do you do then?
Okay.
I know I enjoyed the story, and I'm going to play many different characters so I can experience all of their stories, and that's good for me. But for certain players, that's not good. They want their main character, and this is the guy I'm playing, and I want to advance that character. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I know I'm going to pretty much moving from World of Warcraft to SWTOR because, like I said, different stories that are very good, makes it interesting. In World of Warcraft, you level a new character, it's the same story again. And you level another one, it's the same story over and over. Whereas this one, it's all different. But I'm not sure. I'm not making any predictions. I don't like being the whole prediction of, oh, this is going to be the death of World of Warcraft. But I think, honestly, World of Warcraft is going to be the death of World of Warcraft. The way they're acting with their players and the way they're treating their game, they're going to be the death of themselves.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing more about that.
Yes.
But now we're going to stay positive, so I'm going to move on to my number one pick. Favorite moment of the year, Herman Cain officially quoting the Pokemon movie. It's not just that he quoted the Pokemon movie, which he had done before, and he quoted the Simpsons movie as well. The man loves his cartoons, apparently.
Hey, that's cool. Had I known that before, I would have voted for him.
But it's the fact that he did it officially by saying the following words. And now I leave you with these words from the Pokemon movie, apparently. And actually has the nerve to continue quoting the thing.
Yeah. I mean, the first time it happened, you can blame your speechwriters that pretty much, let's face it, butt-fucked your campaign. But, this time where he realized, okay, this is pretty much where I lost it, so, alright, I'm going to have some fun, and let's do this. This is great.
And this is a man that just gave up on self-respect, you know? It's like, I got caught so many times saying stupid things. I'm gonna go all out till the end.
Indeed.
So on that note, we're gonna wish you happy holidays and a very happy new year.
Indeed.
And see you on the other end.
See you next year.